Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Spark of Genius Flesh and Blood production. Joined by my co-creator, co-commentator, co-caster, co-compatriot, Rob,
Hello.
in the bottom screen here. And we're back in ProQuest season. It's a magical time of the year, and this is for the ProQuest Europe, right? This ProQuest Europe in Q1 2025. So next 4 weeks, we're recording this September 30th, I think. So based on all the data from Lyon, who just happened, the Battle Hard in Milwaukee, Tokyo, all these kind of first time Rosetta events to kind of have a good feel for what might be the decks to beat, what might make up the rest of the meta. So we're here to give a bit of a ProQuest tier list, as everyone loves so much, because all the opinions are all flowing in the air, right? Everyone has a favorite hero.
That's right.
So the way we structured this from kind of S to D, we put some words on some of these. So S is mainly like the decks to beat, so like the more defined meta decks that we think will pop up during ProQuest and probably into Worlds, depending on what happens. Well, obviously, we don't know what bans or anything that might happen. Like there's some cards like Count Your Blessings, which completely warp the meta, it seems, and whether LSS might do something for that later in the season, I have no idea. But for now, we're kind of going with exactly what we have for this weekend and onwards. So I think we're going to start with decks to beat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we can kind of use what we feel are the strongest decks in the meta, put those up there first, and then base our decisions on what goes below that, based on the S tier heroes. Yeah. So, what do you think belongs in S tier?
Yeah. The first hero that I knew was S tier before these events, and is definitely still here after the events, is Enigma.
Enigma? Yeah, that hasn't changed.
Enigma, as you would say. Yeah. So,
yeah.
73. So out of the 467 players at the Calling Lyon, we got about 15% of the meta share, quite a bit, and the 37% conversion to day 2. Now, 15% of the meta share with 37% conversion gives you over a quarter of the meta share in day 2.
It's a lot.
Obviously, this is like, I don't think you could really argue the sheer kind of weight of this deck at the moment.
Yeah, when you have the high number of representation plus the high conversion rate, it's not like a fluke, right? You don't just have like the 1/5 making 100% conversion rate, so 5's top deck. It's like there were a lot of them and they converted. So I think no argument there. This is an S tier deck.
Yeah, I mean, top 8 was four Enigmas, right? Like combined with Aurora, Azalea, Verdance, and Prism. So other than the Enigma, it was fairly varied, but like half of your top 8 was Enigma. Enigma ended up winning the event. Pablo Pintor, obviously, he doesn't have enough Calling wins. I think he needs a couple more. He's like 3. Right. I think he's at 3 now, ignoring the PT stuff. Enigma also extremely flexible for deck building. This hero has not even beat out for one set at this point. It's only now just past one set with Rosetta coming out. And with Zen gone, being the main kind of enemy of Enigma, was like super hyper aggression. Enigma not really being able to set up board, keep up. Like your mirror guys are really not doing well. With Zen gone, really there's a big he's not gone, obviously, but he's being relegated to ninja tier, as some of my teammates like to say.
It's true,
the point is, like, without bonds, without a lot of these tools that kind of made him oppressive, Enigma's really been able to flourish. And there's also different Enigma builds running around. There's like a more Spectra Aura kind of, not Spectra, sorry, Aura package is what I'm saying. You're seeing like Waxing Spectre, Waning Vengeance, a lot of these auras you didn't really see in Zen meta because they didn't block, right? So now you're mainly just kind of get a sticky board and trying to go in there. And then you also have Enigma decks running 9 Count Your Blessings, and you're seeing some decks on like Reality, some on Cosmos. Like, it's very difficult now to know which Enigma you're running into, and whether they have the sideboard package, whether they're going to use this sideboard package. Like, there's a lot to have to know how to navigate this, but also how to sideboard against this deck. And that's kind of why it's going to be the first kind of decks to beat here, ProQuest, because it's a difficult deck. However, the agency is on the opponent to really break through Enigma, because if you just let Enigma do their thing, they're just going to run you over, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right. Who do we got?
Anything
next?
to add there?
No, I think you pretty much
did I sum everything up? Yeah, it's just a very good deck. Very good ProQuest deck specifically, because you have your matchup spread's just very good. Yeah. Right? There's just not a ton of decks that prey on you at the moment. And unless people figure out a way to do that in the next week or two, you're pretty safe, especially for week 1 if you're looking at Enigma, pretty good, solid, safe pick in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the other deck I want to put on decks to beat is Aurora.
Yeah.
So pretty interesting, and this is kind of twofolded. One, I think because there's that big void left by Zen, as I mentioned before, is the aggressive deck.
For
We're
an
kind of looking
aggressive deck.
towards an aggressive deck that can actually like go toe to toe with some of the you know, slower, dirtly decks like
Yeah.
Enigma, obviously, but also like the more control variants, the control variations of like Dash and such, so that are able to not only go aggressive when they need to race against like maybe like Kayo or something like that, or another aggressive deck, but also able to set up some kind of either pitch stack or some kind of like overload of damage. And Aurora seems to fit the bill quite well because her mixed damage is very good, right? She has cards like Arc Lightning, Channel Lightning Valley that give such good incremental
Yeah.
value. Flicker Wisp, obviously, like a lot of these other cards that are able to really go into her suite because she has the aggressiveness of lightning. She has some decent blocking. She has very good armor. Like she's got face purgatory because she's a rune blade, so she's like got a reasonable matchup into stuff like aggro matchups like Dio and Kayo, and she's just able to kind of do both, which is really nice. Quite explosive. There was one in top eight. You have Bartos Yamba and
For
in
Leon.
Lille. Sorry, Leon. Sorry, wrong. Not Lille. Leon. Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong L.
Wrong L in,
There
in
also
France.
wrong L, but there also was Sam Dando in Battlehard Milwaukee, top eighting on Aurora, and I think honestly her representation is just going to go up. There were 10 Auroras at Milwaukee Battlehard, about 10th ish with new Enigma of the meta, so it
Yeah.
is picking up steam,
Yeah.
and
And a very good conversion rate
realistically,
also
very good
in Lyon.
conversion rate.
I
Yeah,
think it's
very
just
very good conversion rate.
30% of them made it to day two, so that's pretty strong.
Yeah, there were 13 of them. 13 of them that made it to day two, about 39, 40, I think, showing up. So good day two conversion. I think second for decks with more than 15 players on them. I'm not really counting like Prism and Phi and
Yeah,
stuff like that,
exactly. Yeah.
who had good conversion, but they only had like very few players actually running them in that size of the event. So
Exactly.
very good conversion outside of Enigma. And I think people are realizing how strong this deck really is, just because she's very hard to block. She has a lot of break points. She has a lot of because she's got some Runeblade issues, which is why she's gonna be second and not first, kind of on this
Yeah.
list. She's got some hands that just are like just don't do anything. You have like blink and like channel, and
Yep.
just like
You
you're
could
missing
brick for
attacks.
sure.
You can't block. Yeah, you can't block, and you're not like immune to disruption. There are ways to disrupt you. CNC still hurts. Like you can put instants in Arsenal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cards like Erase Face stopping your lightning.
Oh yeah.
You could even get like a good weakest link, which is not as good weakest link, but because you can just play them in response. However, there are hands where you get like lightning press and stuff like that, where it's in your hand and like they will take it, and it's very hard for you to like play it on nothing kind of thing. So she is targetable, I would say, but I
Yeah.
think she's very hard to play optimally
Yeah,
against.
she has a
So I
lot
think
of the
she's
weaknesses that
yeah.
aggro decks do, of course. And because you mentioned that Zen is kind of now put to the wayside, there is a hole for an aggro deck
Mm,
to really come up. So there's no surprise to me that she's in the top contention, or the contention for the top
yeah.
right now, because she's really
Yeah.
the de facto aggro deck right now.
Yeah. And I think this is a deck that rewards quite a few reps because this is just knowing your lines really well, just like any other aggro deck, and maximizing damage, but also being able to like switch to that more build up when you're trying to like stack things like lightning, arcane lightning, sorry, arc lightning, and I think that's what the card's called. Her specialization, but the pieces that you want to be sure to be able to maximize every point of damage if decks do want to try to fatigue you, right? There are Count Your Blessings is going to be there are going to be people running Count Your Blessings deck, and because of that, and you're going
Yeah.
to play Aurora, you need to be able to do both strategies here. So that's Aurora.
All
I think we could
right.
just go down the hero list here now.
Yeah.
Starting with Arakni.
Sounds good.
Starting with Arakni. Oh God.
Yeah. I
Why don't you
mean,
take this one?
has Arakni ever been anywhere but D for a while? I
He
think.
got coercive tendencies, which was kind of interesting, but the problem is he has no hero text, and his
Yeah.
is I feel like a broken record at this point. I think I say the same things every single
Probably.
time.
We can just cut to like our previous tier list video and say exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
he's
mean, I will just kind of point out that he's abysmal into Enigma.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
yeah, he's pretty bad into the meta decks here. So like
Yeah.
I think you just throw him in D.
Yeah,
D for
I agree.
diehard
I
fans.
agree. If you're a diehard fan of fan of Arakni, you can still play him. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we got
Um,
Azalea next.
Azalea.
Yeah.
So,
We saw her
what do you
top
think about
eight,
Azalea?
I believe. She
Yes,
had
top
did
eight in
in
Lyon.
Lyon.
So Azalea is interesting. She is kind of has this legacy of being that the anti aggro disruption with Riddle and stuff like that. You're able to have this toolbox of different arrows for different situations. There was
Mm-hmm.
one Azalea in top eight in Lyon, and that Azalea did get to finals against Pablo Pintor.
Mm,
Um, and it was a very close game, if I recall correctly. It was quite close. They went through, I think, Verdance and Prism. I think it was Verdance, Prism, and then into Enigma. So they beat Verdance and Prism. But
right. Yeah.
Azalea is interesting because she has this one card called Murkmire Grapple. Murkmire is pretty good against Enigma and Prism and such. But
Right.
specifically, if the Enigmas are running more Aura package, Murkmire is very, very good. And so it is one of these tools that not a lot of decks have these specific aggressive tools that actually like directly stop you from setting up particularly well. So if you have like this big arrow, this big grabnel, and they've taken damage to set up like a mirror guy or something along those lines, and they don't have the defensive tools in that hand because they run a bunch of no blocks now, right? Like if you're running Aura package and your hand's full of like Transcend and no blocks,
Right.
you're gonna have a hard time blocking that Murkmire. Like your boots, you don't
Oh
have Ward
yeah.
3 in your boots, that's not gonna work. And you have a board, it's not gonna go very well. And you have 3 Murkmires, you can get them back from Codex. You can dominate with knock. Like it's very good tools. So I think Azalea is like a fairly reasonable contender
Yeah.
for
A
Enigma.
lot of
And
representation too. In
yeah,
Lyon, fourth most played deck.
yep.
But
10, I think 10,
one.
10 of them converting to day 2, and
Yeah.
then another one converting to top 8. I think also Azalea's been out for long enough to the point where she has a lot of cards to deal with any particular ProQuest meta. So if you're in like
Right.
a local meta and you kind of have a better sense of what decks are coming, Azalea can she's like one of those decks who could just
Yep.
tailor made for your particular meta, and not a lot of decks have that ability. So
Her
I think for
toolkit
ProQuest
really lets her do
specifically,
that exactly. And the longer she's
yeah,
out, the more
yeah,
tools she'll add to that tool belt, and then she'll
exactly,
really have answers to everything at that point. So it just depends on how you want to build
yeah.
her.
Yeah, Worlds is a bit harder because like you don't really know the world. Like you don't really know what worlds are players are going to be bringing beforehand. But my point is, I think she should probably be in the contender slot because she has a
Yeah.
pretty nice Enigma matchup. I think Aurora matchup's like reasonable. I think I've heard mixed things about it because like things like Riddle, it's like you can play a bunch of instants on Aurora side. Like you don't necessarily like you have Lightning Press, you have Electromagnetic. Um, what's the +3 lightning card? I really keep forgetting. It's the static
Oh.
discharge. It's the one with the lightning bolt and the deer on it.
Yeah.
The name escapes me, but the point is, there's a bunch of instant speed things you could do to power your attacks. You can have 2+3s and just send a lightning surge for 10, and then that's it. Like, here's your one action, right? So Aurora is actually a lot more immune to things like Red Ledger, obviously, than expected. So I think that you can definitely have a pretty reasonable matchup, and it is an aggro mirror.
Yeah.
But if you, I mean, obviously you do stuff like Remorseless is still going to hurt,
It'll
but I
still hurt.
think
Yeah.
it's a pretty close matchup. So that's pretty good. If you're liking those kinds of matchups, I think Azalea is pretty reasonable at A tier.
Absolutely. And that just speaks to Aurora's strength too, more than anything, just because she can get around those one action turns, right? So that's typically how the downfall of the ninjas, right? That's when you want to go wide, but you get red in the ledger, then you can't really don't really have a turn. At least Aurora can have a strong turn still if she has the right cards. Okay.
I agree.
Let's go to
Betsy.
Betsy. I don't know. Do you want to just put her in D tier?
No, I don't think so. I think she deserves C tier at the very least because she did get a new card, like her new specialization that came out of Rosetta.
Yeah.
It is a pretty reasonable card. It's a strong card. Her issue is more so. This is not really. I think Enigma being the deck to beat, Betsy's not really there. Like Betsy's not going to give you a winning matchup into Enigma. You have like okay Guardian value, and you can wager, and that's fine, but it doesn't really break through the multitude of Enigma plans, and you have to be on a quite aggressive Guardian plan to even be able to deal with the Lucius in the first place, like Zell Speltings and such, to be able to go wide enough to break through it. Because if you're sending 2-card 8s, 2-card 10s all the time, it's not general. Like they run a bunch of D reacts, and there's not really anything you can do about it. Whereas like
it is harder to efficiently break the auras too if you're hitting with big attacks because they'll get full value off their ward. So it's it's a bit messy.
Yeah, and like even Azalea has like released attentions and stuff that could deal with D-Reacts or Dreadbore if you really, really want to. Probably not, but like at least you have like released attention and Remorseless that literally deals with D-Reacts. So they can break through it a lot easier than a Guardian can. And if you're gonna be running Guardian, you should probably just be running one with like a better matchup spread, whereas Betsy so far has only really gotten views as more of a fatiguey control style Guardian because you just run
Mm-hmm.
like her headpiece that gives you 3 armor and then you're like slightly better than some of the
Yeah,
other control guardians like Bravo, but
it's
I
true.
think that it's just not really the meta for her, and she needs a little bit more. Like she needs a weapon first of all.
Yeah, right.
Still doesn't have a weapon, like a log or something, you know. But
Yeah,
I think she still needs a bit more love, in my opinion.
sounds good. All right, moving on to Boltyn. B for Boltyn.
B for Boltyn, I think B is a good spot for him.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, there was that Boltyn in Battlehard in Milwaukee that ended up as first seed, if I recall
Right.
correctly,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they got all the way to semis. They got matched into an Enigma round one, actually, into first seed versus an eighth seed Enigma, and they won that. And I think Bolton actually has a pretty good matchup into Enigma, pretty like good into Prism for that matter too, but for illusionists in general. But I think Bolton is interesting because you have like the aggressive plan with Raiden, and you also have like a Switchblade build, and then you also just have Sabers Bolton, right? And all of these decks have merit. I think more of them are on Raiden. I think the Sabers build is good, but I don't know how many people are really going to be running it into this field. Because I don't think Sabers going to do that good against Enigma if you just give Enigma a whole bunch of space. But if Enigma like prepares with a bunch of D-Reacts and stuff, and you're able to just go Saber Bolt, and maybe that's fine.
Hmm.
Um, but you have issues in the race versus Aurora. I don't think you're particularly good against like Azalea because you just get riddled and you do one attack and that's it. Like you need to go wide as Bolton. You don't really have a way to
Yeah.
work around it other than like you can't play Lumina.
Yeah.
Like you get actually like you can't play non-attack. Like you get one action point, but like you're not able to actually uh go wide enough to pressure damage because you don't usually have that much disruption. So Azalea just takes whatever you have and passes and fires arrows at you that are really annoying. And
Right.
frailty hurts your weapon and
Yep. Oh
inertia
yeah.
hurts your setup. So I think right now Bolton is an okay deck.
Yep.
I think people who are very good at Bolton, people who don't know what Bolton does. That's one thing for like a pro quest.
It's
But if
true.
you're a Bolton one trick, then I think he's fine to bring. But I wouldn't be like gravitating towards Bolton if I wanted to play an aggro deck.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. We got Bravo next. Bravo. Been a while since
Yeah,
I've looked at Bravo.
yeah.
It's too bad.
Bravo. I think Bravo is probably sitting next to Betsy in C tier. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately.
like you're not as bad as Arakni from like you have a hero ability and you have like crippling crush and stuff, but again, same idea as Betsy with the whole Guardian versus Enigma thing.
Yeah.
Bravo doesn't really do much better. You have some bigger attacks, but realistically you dominate and just de-react it. You're not getting crushed through. It's very, very hard to get crushed through. And even before all this, when they were going not as many aura package, Bravo wasn't very good. So
Yep.
if like if you can't really like push through, he's probably okay versus Aurora, honestly. But like I don't think that's like his spread outside of that is just really bad. Like you don't beat Florian, you don't beat Dash, you don't really beat Kayo, you don't brutes
Yeah.
in general. Like there's really not a lot of like you definitely don't beat new. So there's not really a lot of decks you want to play this hero into. So I think C is probably generous, but we'll leave him in C for now.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. There's really nothing that there's no accolades right now for Bravo. I think, and I'm seeing there's no
Yeah.
representation at all in the
Who
in
would
this
bring
top.
Bravo?
Exactly right. He's just kind of fallen off the radar completely. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, bottom of C I think is okay with me. Ooh, Dash IO.
Theo.
Theo.
So I will say we will be looking. So for the first 2 weeks of ProQuest, you don't get the Armory deck. The Armory deck's not legal to the 18th. So only for the second 2 weeks of ProQuest. So depending on when your ProQuest or CC are, this might change for you, depending if you get your hands on that Armory deck. But we're going to be assuming that for most of the ProQuest season, you can't really play with the Armory deck because
Yeah.
like it makes a pretty big difference because there's some really strong cards in there. It's like
Yeah.
playing KO in the Sash. It's a completely different
Right.
deck. So I think Dio, I think A is actually a good spot for him. You could probably argue S tier with the deck just because of the
Right.
like absurd amount of damage you can output with the deck with the new upgrades that you got in the Armory deck, but also your quite a good aggro deck, and that you're really only soft to heavy disruption, which the top decks right now aren't really disruptive decks. Like you can run disruptive cards, but they aren't inherently like Guardian, which
Yeah,
just throws a whole bunch of shit at you that you
that's
can't
right.
block
Yeah, you can get
properly.
away with a lot, I think.
Yeah, and you don't really run D reacts and such. So like you run some like dissipating shield stuff like that. And dissipating? No, I think it's the wrong shield. Dissolving shield, I think is the
Dissolving.
one I'm
Yeah,
thinking
there's
about.
both. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was dissolving shield, like off the top, that kind of thing. But I
Right,
think
right.
realistically, you're in a pretty good spot in the meta because I think you could race quite well. It is a little finicky. You do have some like dud hands,
Yeah,
and you can just have like bad RNG because you are like looking off the top and trying to get items off the
yeah,
top and get
yeah.
value with boom grenade. But if you get like the or
Could go
like early
wrong.
boom grenade off to the races, roll second and just run at them, like you're in pretty good spot. Um, so I think A is fine, but I can see an argument for S, especially
Right.
if you have the armory deck cards like
Yes, yes.
her item and her the one attack. She gets another boost attack too, I believe.
Yeah, that's
Crank.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just called Crank. Yeah.
Fast and Furious. It's the one that it's 0 for 3 boost. If you crank this turn, it gains +1. When it's
Oh,
banished from
yes.
boosting, put a steam counter on an item you control crank. It's just very, very good. Like it's just straight gas. It's just like better 0 to 60 if you've cranked, right? And 0 to 60 is already a gross card. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and blocks for 3. You know, a lot of cards block
Yeah,
for 3.
yes.
So I
She
think
got a
like
pretty
that.
good upgrade in this armory deck. So yeah,
Mhm.
if she's not S tier, she might be, like you said. But I think the stats speak for themselves. I think looking at February, she actually has a very good matchup into a lot of the heroes right now.
Mhm.
I think the only one she kind of suffers into a little bit is Victor,
Yeah,
but her
with
stats
Guardian makes
around
sense.
yeah, exactly, with lower Guardian representation right now, she can flourish like you said. So
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
she's fine in A. Yeah. All
Yeah, I
right.
think if you can scout out your PQs and you don't know a lot of victors showing up, I think Dio is a really solid choice, especially if there's a shit ton of like enigmas and stuff that you want to just like go buck wild on.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Next, we've got the regular dash.
So the regular dash is not dash IO. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
she is not really going to benefit as much from the armory decks, obviously, because you don't crank really in dash IE.
Yeah.
And the preeminent dash list seemed to be more the slower pistol dash, set up Exodia with all your items, purifiers, induction chambers. And now you have the count your blessings dash decks, like these slab dash
Yeah.
decks with count your blessings are quite toxic. Like it's assuming they don't touch count your blessings before the PQ season. I think that's probably going to be the deck that dash is going to go on. But however, you can kind of have a count your blessings sideboard and then just go like a more aggressive or a mid range and have like pounder in the sideboard. Like you have a pretty flexible game plan to a lot of decks because you could still be quite aggressive with like pounder strat, but then you can also go to like your board of like count your blessings, all your items, right?
Right.
So it's kind of one or the other, and then most of your cards fit both of those styles. Um, that being said, I think she's probably around the B tier, is my guess.
Yeah.
And that's mainly because I don't really think this style of dash is going to do that well against Aurora. I think against Enigma is quite interesting into the spectral package. If Enigma and Dash are both on Count Your Blessings, it's going to be kind of funny. But realistically, if the game goes long enough, maybe it's just better for Dash. However, I would worry about going to time in a lot of those matchups, honestly.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if I'm being real for you here, especially at a PQ.
That is a concern.
So
Yeah.
I think that like Slapdash, it is a good deck, and I think it is not that hard to play. You do just need to know how to block, and that's about it. And you are not in like the most advantageous spot, but because like that deck's really good against slower decks like Guardian, obviously. Um, but I think it's a reasonable choice because you just have that dual kind of edge, being able to go
Yeah.
two plus strategies that are both well defined.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to Dory.
Oh man, I remember when Axe Story was like a menace, tearing up like
Yeah, that
the
was a surprise. A
melee.
pleasant surprise.
Pleasant
Yeah.
surprise. So I think I think if you're seeing a Dory show up at a pro quest, I'd probably assume a Dawnblade Dory. He technically got the new card unsheathed as a warrior card, so while it looks like a Kassai card, Dory can run it, and I think Dory would run it. It's just a 0 for 3 It can't automatically give go again because it's not going to be more than base. So it's like a +3 on your 3, you're at 6, but you need something else to buff it to give it auto go again on like Kassai Sabers. So it is a nice card. 0 for 3 ain't bad, especially if you can give another buff that doesn't give go again, like a Valor or something like that.
Right.
And I think I saw like Dory's running around Lyon. Like there were a couple doing like decently. There was like one on stream or something like that. But ultimately, I think that there's just better choices, and bringing Dory, you really do have to prey on people's inexperience playing into Dory and take advantage of that. But I really like, you're not racing Aurora. I don't think you're very good into Enigma.
No.
I think Dash just has too much damage. You're not that fast, and a lot of your blues just kind of suck. You have a good armor suite, but like, I don't know if Warrior's really like a Warrior is good in like a mid-range control era where you can just get like extreme value, right? Like she did really well in like mid-range soup heavy hitters meta with like intense value off Dynamo kind of thing. But I think games are a bit either too fast or too slow, and I can't really decide which one is worse.
We've diverged a bit from that mid-range meta. Yeah, both ways. So it's hard to say. I mean, I'm okay with maybe top of C or below Boltyn, maybe on the B list.
I think C is fine. I wouldn't. Okay. I would rather play Boltyn than right now.
I think I agree. Okay, we got Phi. There was 100% conversion rate in Lyon.
He's going in D tier. He's going in D tier. I don't like I'm not I think Ninja right now is in just such a shitty spot because of Zen, right? Like, Zen forced a ban on like the best Ninja card because he just like insane. Like Katsu wasn't even a problem, and now he just got like sideswiped with no bonds.
Right? Yeah, I feel like that's the story of Katsu in a nutshell. Just always taking the secondhand bannings, right?
Yeah, so I don't have much to say about Phi. I just don't think he's a deck you should be really bringing. He just doesn't have enough damage. Like, there's no reason to bring him.
Yeah. Well, here's a deck that you might want to bring: Florian.
Yeah, Florian's definitely an A tier deck. He was pretty well represented in just overall. Lyon, he was pretty like, I think he was top 6 deck or something like that. Good convert, like 17% day 2 conversion was pretty reasonable. Not a big meta share because I don't think many people brought him. They probably just thought he had a bad matchup into Enigma, and it's not a great matchup into Enigma. You could definitely run things like 6 Summers Falls, getting rid of like, the mirror guy. I think we also saw a bunch of plumes being played to be able to grab that Summerfall back, and essentially just counters Enigma's headpiece. So when Enigma blocks, gets the chi, plays the mirror guy, you have 2 blues and you get to run a Summer's Fall immediately. So getting one in the grave is really important. So there are strategies to kind of overcome that. Florian is definitely at his best as a mid-range control deck. People are trying to run him more aggro with like CMH, like Channel Mount Heroic with like Rage
Briar back.
Rage Swarm.
I mean, you might as well try, I guess, but you're right, it isn't really playing to his strengths, really.
Yeah, it's interesting to like, into Enigma I can't really be slow, I need to run Channel Mount. But I think Channel Mount is just such a clumpy card in Florian. Like I tried it myself, but I just really didn't like it. I definitely think just going more solidly mid-range with a couple aggressive tools is fine, but having to commit 3 cards to CMH, like 3 slots in the deck where there's like such a tight sideboard slot in Florian, because of all the different kind of equipment and stuff you can run, and obviously the more aggressive tools and such, and D-Reacts and what have you, right? So I think that his Enigma matchup isn't amazing. I think it's probably unfavored, and that's probably putting it lightly. But his Aurora matchup is pretty close. I'd say it's close to 50-50. It's really going to reward reps. Like, you really do need to play this matchup a lot to know the ins and outs, because it's going to come down to points of damage, like single points of damage, right? And if you miss efficiency, at least from the testing that I've done, obviously, with teammates and such, and it's just like 50-50 seems pretty reasonable. Now, why Florian? I'd probably put Florian to the left of Azalea. Honestly, I think he's probably the top A tier deck at the moment. Just because his game plan of inevitability by turning his hero power is just so strong. Like pitching a blue to grasp and then swinging Reaper for 2 chance and 3 damage is just one card 5ing people over and over again is just insanely strong, right? He has that inevitability that doesn't have to rely on OTK. Like he could just play a game plan, like a mid-range value-based or a slower game plan, and you've got like double embodiments. I'm blocking with my chess piece and an on-attack action for 7. Good luck.
Right.
Like coming back with Felling of the Crown and Plow Under and just getting insane value is just super good. And like being that preeminent value-based deck in this kind of meta is quite nice. And so I think if you're able to like solidify your Enigma and Aurora matchup, Florian is definitely the next deck I would be looking to play into this meta. Very, very good, strong deck into most of the field.
Yeah.
Very good into Brutes, obviously. Very good into Guardians. A lot of D-reacts. Can shut down turn. Good into Warrior. Like you have that inevitability with mixed damage. The Warrior can't really deal with that well. Because then you can just set up and they can't really get dynamo values. Kassai, it's not, like they could win. It's not a blowout, but I think Florian's just an overall very strong deck.
Yeah, I do see that his worst matchup does appear to be into Kano. So if there are a lot of Kanos, he
Kano,
might sink a little bit. But
yeah, because you can't decompose as easily with Kano because you can't block as easily into Kano, right?
It's kind of like the Levia problem. So
that is the Levia.
It is what
problem.
it is,
Levia,
but just dodge the Kanos and you'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean Kano's not usually super represented. I think there were some in Lyon and they did they did okay, but Kano has other problems he has to kind of worry about.
Let me pull him up on the board since we're talking about him. Yeah. So speaking of Lyon, 15 of them showed up and only 3 made to day 2. I mean, 20% conversion, not awful.
Yeah. So I think it's funny. I think this is a split one for me. I think if we were doing a Worlds tier list, I put Kano at A tier. But I think because we're doing a ProQuest tier list, I put him at B tier.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason is because I think he's a super good target deck. Whereas I think if you know what the meta is going to be, and you have like a better idea of what the meta is going to be at like Worlds, and there's like a top 3 deck, and you know like the top 3 decks are taking about a third of the meta or 40% of the meta if you're lucky, and you bring Kano, and Kano has matchups to all of them. Kano is one of the best decks, right? But at a ProQuest, you have no idea what's going to show up. And at a ProQuest, if they know you're bringing Kano and they just like bring AB2 Spell Void 2, if they bring a bunch of AB and Spell Void, if they don't respect you, it's whatever. But there's a higher chance that they're going to be prepared for Kano versus Worlds, where if they're much less likely to be prepared for a deck that they don't think is going to be top 3 in the meta, top 4 in the meta, right?
Yeah.
So for that reason, I think that Kano for ProQuest is probably B.
Sounds good to me. Okay.
And yeah, his matchups. Like, I could talk a little bit about his matchups. Like you can go. You've lost your books. Like you're not going to the library anymore, right? You've lost the books.
Yep.
But
you're illiterate now.
Yeah, you've gained obviously you overflow the Aether, the well card. Oh my god, overflow the Aether well. I think is the other one.
Yeah.
I think overflow the Aether well, and then something with the one that draws 2 and the one that gains 2, right? So obviously with Surge. Right. So you could definitely still do some pretty funny stuff. Wildfire is still a card. Nothing's really changed on that front. You just can't like do as many ridiculous things you can do with tomes that you could do before, where they just like win you the game off the top randomly. Still a very strong deck. Still a very fast deck if you want it to be. You just have to be more cognizant of you can't just stack tomes and like get a really good end game kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. So we're on Kassai
We're on to Kassai. Yeah. Better than Boltyn or worse than Boltyn? That's kind of the question.
I think Kassai is like fairly comfortable at B tier. I think she did get an upgrade with Unsheathed. Like it is like very much her card. +3 go again on her first saber essentially. It's just better Blade Runner. It's better front loaded Blade Runner. Cost 0 instead of 1.
Right.
It's +3 on the first sword, whereas a lot of your regular things are backloaded, right? Slice and dice.
Buff the second attack, right?
Yeah, Blade Runner, Slice and Dice, or even her buffs, right? The ones that like only if you swing the second time, they give you the buff kind of thing. So front loaded damage is very nice, and the go again is also very nice. So if you have like a gold and you want to like draw a card, unsheath, and your swords are free, attack, do something. It's quite a nice play line. Her issue here is I don't think her Enigma matchup is very good, and I have some doubts that her Aurora matchup is that great either.
Yeah.
Because of all the mixed damage. You'll probably get like decent value off your boots, but Aurora can set up those really big bursty turns that Kassai might not be able to deal with. And you also tax her with the AB, right? You're also making her run AB instead of her gloves or something like that. Right. So I think that I also don't think her Florian matchup's very good. I think Florian just outvalues her, and that's a bit of a problem. because her entire game plan was like value based off copper and gold. If you can't hit any of your things, because Florian has a shit ton of D-reacts, you're gonna be in trouble.
Absolutely.
So I don't like those, but she's still a very strong deck
Yeah.
in and of itself. So I think B is fine.
Bottom of B, yeah, okay. All right, moving on to Katsu.
I know D tier.
Just above five. Yeah, probably right there.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Like you lost bonds. You were barely stringing along. You were already second seed to Zen anyways.
Yeah.
And now you lost bonds.
Right.
And like you got underwhelming Gust Wave, which was your expansion card slot. And
yeah.
I don't know. He needs help, man.
He needs help.
Know.
SOS. He's on life support right now.
Yes, Kayo.
Okay,
so this deck is the one I've played a lot of recently.
Yeah.
So I played a lot of Kayo and Florian for testing recently for PQ Worlds and stuff. And obviously this is the deck I've performed the best on, historically speaking, right? So I know a couple things about this hero. And what I can tell you is this is not a good meta for Kayo.
But there's so many of them in Lyon.
That's the problem. I think people got really attached at heavy hitters, and he was good mid-range value. So he's not siege. Put him back to H. He's like next to Betsy.
Maybe he's up here. How about here?
Yeah, he's definitely an A-tier hero.
Yeah, okay.
He's definitely a contender. I think the issue in Lyon is they were just built wrong. I think the people who brought them to Lyon either just got super unlucky.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily a skill issue, but they either got like some bad RNG, which happens to some of these players, but like also you aren't built for this kind of meta. Maybe you didn't practice enough into the new heroes. I don't know what happened. But when I see Kayo running like mid-range value into like Enigma, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you are not gonna win that matchup. And the only way to beat Enigma, this Aurora matchup is like you go trackers and you just run at them. Like your deck has to be built around beaten trackers. You have to essentially have the most consistent go again hands you can and hope for the best. And you can get a reasonable matchup into Enigma, even like count your blessing Enigma. I think Aurora is definitely unfavored, but not as much as people might think. Like they have the what's that headpiece? What's the Runeblade headpiece? Face Purgatory, which is quite good into KO, but there are a lot of KO hands that actually just end up having an extra card anyways. KO could have Beast within, which is a pretty funny interaction, because you get to just draw your card back. And obviously the Scowling Fleshbag has no such stipulation that you have to block with other cards. Like you don't have to give other cards from hand.
Throw it in. Yeah.
Aurora doesn't have that many non-attack actions, so it's actually not always gonna be able to do Face Purgatory, which is also interesting. But that matchup's definitely not favored. I'd say like maybe between 40-45%. The mixed damage is kind of impossible. Like KO, if you're running AB into Aurora as KO, you're just gonna lose. Makes sense. You need every point of armor. Yeah. And then other decks, I think you're still pretty good into Azalea. I think you are pretty reasonable to Dash IO. It really depends what kind of like tech you're bringing. Like if you're bringing like Weakest Link, you're going to be good into Dash IO. Florian is a rough matchup. I'm not going to lie here, because Florian is just a better mid-range deck than you, and so you cannot fight him on the mid-range territory,
right? Which
is awkward, right? So what you have to do is essentially play more aggressively and kill him before he could get online with Decompose, which is it's easier said. Let me tell you, easier said than done, my friend. Very possible. Like Sash and Beam Trackers, hell of a drug. But if you're able to go like full pulp, if you go full Wild Ride, Bear Fang, Red Yellow
non-block package,
the full like 12 card, not at least 12-15 card non-block package, and just run at him.
Yeah.
You will have a lot more success than trying to like block out everything, because they have the tree, right? They have Felling of the Crown, and there are different Florian decks. There are different Florian decks, but a Florian deck teched for KO is not the same as a Florian deck teched for Enigma. They're very different cards. So you could get into that place where you're a bit luckier and you're running into those decks that aren't really prepared for you very well. But overall, I think KO still does very well into the rest of the field. because he's powerful by himself and he can still do disgusting things, especially with bean trackers. I've had bean trackers turn where like I just did 21 damage. I just
Yeah.
did 20 damage with bean trackers. Like Savage Feast bean trackers, I just did 20 damage. No sash, no blood rush.
Right.
I just did 20 damage. And like everyone's forgetting I could just 736, 636. Like it doesn't I could produce 15 damage turns without any help.
Right.
And
Right.
that's not something a lot of decks can do.
Yeah.
So, and I have a lot of armor too, and I have sash. So the deck is still strong. I wouldn't, if you're bringing him to a pro quest, you better be like a one trick KO player. I would not roll in. I know I would not pick KO as a deck in this meta. I'd rather pick Aurora for an aggro deck or Florian or Enigma for a slower deck.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, cool. Okay, bottom of A. Next we've got Levia.
Right next to him.
Yeah.
Same issues. Literally the same issues and strengths, other than her high points are higher and her low points are lower.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Levia can just kill herself. She can literally just kill herself to blood debt. She can miss her transform. Like she has more RNG issues. Like I think I talked about it slightly in the K when I was playing KO and the calling LA. I played this one Levia and I was losing the entire game up until I won because he missed the banish of blood debt.
That'll happen.
And I'm just like, wait, I won?
Yeah,
he just like killed himself, and I'm like, wow. And we were just like trading, and I'm like, I'm gonna lose. He's got carry on us, which is just 6 more armor than I, because I was on Tunic, right? Because I didn't have Sash back then, so it was not looking good, and they just killed themselves. I'm like, holy shit, this deck's intense.
Yeah.
And she got upgrades. She got upgrades. She got Call of the Grave, obviously, to get that 1 card play to get like
That's
Beast
a great
Within.
card. Yeah.
Very, very good for Levia. And she definitely got those upgrades. I think she has quite a bit of damage. I think she's not very good versus Florian. I think she is probably better into Enigma than Kayo, I think.
Yeah, probably by a slight margin. Yeah.
She just has intent. She just has higher highs. So her damage profile against Enigma is very good. You count your blessing or no count your blessing, right? And I think Aurora is an interesting matchup because you have a bigger fridge. You don't block as much, which doesn't matter because you're not blocking Aurora anyways, really, in these kinds of matchups. So I think she's overall a pretty good choice. However, you got to be ready to like punch yourself in the face a couple times. Like this is not a deck for the lighthearted.
No,
this is a deck for people who just like enjoy pain.
Yeah. I'll also add that she has a decent representation in Lyon. I think top 8 deck, or the deck, and the top 8 heroes, basically, to representation-wise. So, and not bad, 33% conversion rate to day 2. So it's either like everyone who plays her is really good, or she's just pretty good, or both. So I think she's a worthwhile deck to play. Definitely not at the bottom of the tier list. So yeah, let's keep her at A tier, I guess.
Yeah, I think A tier is fair.
All right, perfect. Let's go on to Maxx.
I think Maxx is B tier.
Yeah,
I think on bottom of B tier. I think he got his that new. He got Supercell. He did get some. Not this set. I think it was last. It's a misfail. He got it, but don't quote me on that. I don't really remember what set he got it in. But I think he's still. I think he's still a deck that can do powerful things off Nitro Mechanoid, but he's such a one-dimensional deck. Like you see Maxx, you're not really like,
you'll know what
side into him. Yeah. Like what do you like? You know what's coming. It's not like Enigma, and you're like, is he on like Count Your Blessing? Is he on Refractor? If he's on Iris, is he on like what are they doing? Or like same thing with maybe or something with Dash. Same kind of idea, right? Like is Dash IE on this? Like that like duel, if you're gonna play a mech, you kind of want that. You either want to have like you either want the flexibility of Dash IE or you just want the brute strength of Dash IO, essentially, right? You just want to be able to be so good at your game plan, you don't really need a backup game plan. You just need tech cards.
Yeah.
Or you want to have that switchboard kind of idea, toolboxy kind of Azalea style, right?
Makes sense.
And if you like building mechs, play Maxx. It's all good, right? But like I don't think the meta looks that. I don't think your game plan is strong enough to deal with other players' game plan without doing any tech whatsoever, which is not really something I'd like to do for a local pro quest if they know you're coming with Maxx.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yep, bottom of B is fine with me.
Bottom of B is fine.
New. Okay, somewhere on A or top of B, she's pretty good, right?
She's pretty good. I think A is
There
fine.
was some
I don't know.
representation, a lot of representation.
Yeah,
Second
good
most played
representation.
deck in Milwaukee,
Yep,
and made the top
on the
eight,
merit.
right?
Yep. Yeah, I think New has had to really like reinvent herself a little bit in the sense that Zen is now you're not just a Zen hate deck, which is kind of what it was
That
for
was
like
her
the national
identity
season
before.
and such.
Yeah.
Well, you look at like you look at Canadian nationals. First seed was New, right? And they were essentially probably I would assume they're just hunting Zens down, right? Ironically, lost top eight to Zen, but that's not the point. Zen can just go buck wild. But
Yeah.
my point is, on average, right? That was the identity. Now you don't have Zen, so like, what are you looking to do? And
Right.
I think she's very strong into a lot of different decks just because of her. Like she's very good into like the Guardians, and her disruption is still second to none. Right? Like
Yeah.
her deal goes with if you need more than two cards to function, you are bad into new,
That
and
makes
that's
sense.
just
Yeah.
generally how it goes. Right? Um, that being said, I think she's pretty okay into like Florian. I think her Enigma matchup's dog. Like I think that's her main issue. I do not think her. If I'm new and I see Enigma, I'm very sad for life. Right.
Which will be pretty often because she is a an S tier deck.
Yeah. I don't even like your Aurora matchup because the problem is Aurora. A lot of the times you can just take two cards and they two card eight you with like Surge from Arsenal and like a 0 for 4 from hand, and you're just like, oh, I just took damage to like disrupt you, and you still did 8 back to me or whatever,
Yeah,
right? And
maybe she's not A tier. Maybe we'll put her somewhere up here.
I
Down
mean,
the
the thing
B.
is, I still kind of like her matchups into everybody else in A, relatively speaking. I don't think
Yeah.
her brute
Okay.
matchups are
Yeah.
interesting. I think her matchup into Levia is just super interesting. Her KO matchup, it kind of depends on how they've teched and what their plan is. I think her IO matchup is kind of funny. I don't really know if that's going to be good for
Just
Dash IO.
yeah. Yeah.
Her Florian
Chaotic.
matchup, I think her Florian matchup's just not very good just because of the amount of D reacts he can stuff, and he can run like cards to give you more embodiments, Seeds of
Yeah.
Tomorrow, cards that are like are very good against Assassin.
Yeah. Mid range decks kind of
And
thrive into disruptive decks.
yeah, mid range, and then you just outvalue them. You could
Yeah.
just if they're taking your cards, you could use 1 2. You focus on 1 to 2 card hands anyways.
Exactly.
For
That's
you.
your bread and butter.
So
So yep.
I think bottom of A is fine for me.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. We'll see if we have to move her later, but for now I think it's okay. Ooh, Olympia.
D D
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Olympia.
Sounds
I
good.
have
Yeah.
like
You've played him
I
quite a
have
bit.
dreams. I have dreams, and those dreams are not going to come to reality
Yeah. That's fair.
anytime soon.
Okay, the other new hero. Oscilio. Oscilio?
Oscilio is, I think he's a C tier hero,
C tier? Okay.
and
Yeah.
he's super gimmicky right now. Like for a pro quest, yeah, like I could. The only reason, like, can you top eight or win it? Yeah, but like the reason you do it is probably because like nobody knows what your hero does, and
Right.
so they just like forgot to bring AB, or like they don't pack any disruption. And I think he's not a bad hero. I think you can do some really like really fun things, and you could do very good mixed damage with like Lightning Wizard package, and you can try to do that. There's this deck going around. There's like this combo Oscilio deck that has to be played, but it relies on a lot of different things going right. And my point is that he seems a little too gimmicky for me, and you start at 36 life.
Yeah.
So to start at 36 life, you really do need to have a good gimmick, like Prism,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
But here it's just not as straightforward to me. Not saying it's a bad deck. For Worlds, this might change, but right now for BroQuest season, I wouldn't bother.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. C is a good place for him. Okay. Ooh,
Yeah.
Prism.
Um,
Seeing a lot of representation. Prism is let's see. Okay, so maybe like more the middle of the pack for Leon. Let's see.
yeah, there was
She
a
was
Prism
top
in
eight.
yeah, there was a Prism in top 8 in Lyon. I think Prism is interesting because you've lost Home of Divinity, right? So that was your major loss from BNR.
Yeah.
But you really didn't love the Zen matchup that much. Yeah, like you had a plan into Zen, like you just try to like beat them down with heralds, okay. But I don't think anyone was super psyched for Zen as Zen meta as Prism. Um now you're kind of trying to feast on specifically Enigma, and I think your Enigma matchup can be pretty good actually, because I think this Prism did beat Enigma in top 8 to go on to top 4 to lose in top 2 Azalea, right, in Lyon. But
Let's see.
in
Yeah.
general, I think Prism can be built in the more aura style way to get a lot of good value, um, which makes you pretty reasonable into Enigma. I don't think your Aurora matchup is that good, which is the issue, because you have like a lot of instant speed shenanigans that can get around Arc Like Sentinel. Like Blink is a card to get around like Arc Like Sentinel. Um, to get a bunch of action points, and I think that you can do fine into the field. However, if Prism is doing well, I think it's because the other players forgot how to play against her. Like Brute should still be quite good into Prism. Like Kayo and Levia are good matchups
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
are
point.
good matchups
Yeah.
into Prism. I don't like if Brutes are losing to Prism, then they're just playing the matchup wrong. Like they're just playing. I'm kind of shocked there was that much KO and a Prism made it to top 8. Either they dodged it or the KOs
Yeah.
did
Or
not know what they were doing in
unlucky
matchup.
or yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's not free for Brutes, but like a sure shit
It's
favorite. I'll tell you
close.
that.
Yeah, that's
If you
fair.
play it correctly, yeah. So
Okay.
I think Prism B tier
So
is fine. I think
B
where
is
she is right
probably
now is
better.
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Rhinar.
He's not D
He's
tier. He's
yeah.
C tier.
He's not awful, but he definitely can't contend with the other two brutes that are currently in A tier. So if you're gonna
Yeah,
play a
he's just not
brute,
a.
you wouldn't play Rhinar.
Yeah, I think he got his expansion card is good. Is a good step for anti aggro, but I think he's just not very good into aggro decks. And I think
Yeah.
the mid range like Florian and Enigma are just
Yep.
you can't really get through
Yeah.
them that well. I mean, you can annoy them a little bit, but
Yeah. That'll be
realistically,
all it is.
yeah, realistically, I don't know what deck you want to be seeing as Rhinar. So
I guess
probably seeing
Prism.
C tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe Prism.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. Riptide. Okay.
You
You
know,
talked a lot
for
about him in the past.
everyone, like all these Riptide players are telling me, or not telling me directly, but like Riptide is great. Like Riptide is like the shit, right?
Yeah. But
With
where
all
is
these
he?
upgrades he's got.
Yeah.
But like, well, in Europe anyways, Riptide was like there's 12 of them. The conversion
Yeah.
was 17%, 2 out of 12. It's not bad, but
Hmm?
I don't know what's happening in these matchups. Like I don't really like. I know there's like a fatiguey style, like a trap Riptide, and I know that deck exists. But I'm talking about like either an aim counter list, like something that we were talking about,
Yeah.
or like a more aggressive list.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to feel about Riptide right now. Like
Right.
you're going into Aurora. I don't think you're that good into Aurora. Um, I think you can be okay into Enigma, but like just play Azalea instead. Like I don't know if he's
Yeah.
better than Azalea into Enigma specifically, because at least you can dominate to force through damage with Murkmire,
Yeah.
whereas
Right.
Riptide can't. That's a big problem. Like as Riptide, you can run stuff like Dreadbore into different decks if you want to try to get an edge there. But like I don't really know. I don't really know enough about Riptide specifically overall, and none of the stats or data we have so far points to him being like big diff.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
B is fine.
Yeah. The data does show that he suffers in some of the newer decks. He suffers especially into Florian, who
Yeah,
probably just outvalues him. Honestly, right? If he is more of a mid range kind of style. He does work on outvaluing the opponent and with disruption, but Florian doesn't really care.
yeah,
So it's kind of
yeah.
you're not really going to win that matchup very easily. Yeah, and again, seems to be kind of just very mid across the board with a couple of
Mm,
big like potholes. So I
yes.
I'm okay with B or top of C.
Nah, B
Uh,
is.
B is fine, bottom of B.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah, I think B or top of C. I think those are like the
yeah.
two places I put him right now.
All right, Teklovossen. Is
I
he
think
C?
C is fine. You know why? Because I think Teklo can beat all those D tiers at the moment.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's
Because you
that's
could just
uh,
go
that's an accolade. You can beat all the D
like
tier heroes.
okay, you bring Teklo, count your blessings. Can any of those heroes at D tier even present enough damage to kill him?
Right.
That's my issue, and I don't think that. I think the answer is no.
Okay.
So
If you want to beat these four heroes, you can bring Teklovossen.
like Teklo, if that's your meta, bring Teklovossen.
Perfect. Uzuri.
I
I don't
think
know about Uzuri.
Uzuri. I think Uzuri is at the very least a B tier hero, probably at the top of
Yeah.
B,
Okay.
Straddling A, but I don't know yet. I think it's a little bit too early to tell. I don't think
Yeah.
she had that much representation in. I think she had
Leo,
good conversion, but she only had 7 people playing her. I think
which,
two people,
yeah.
two people went to day 2. Not a lot of it. I think people are just like, oh, Zen's gone. So, and that was the main thing you
Like
were using. That was a
target,
big one you
right?
were using Uzuri. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a big target for Uzuri. I think Uzuri is very flexible. I think Uzuri was also good into new specifically, like we saw with Shoma. His Uzuri deck was literally there to build like beat
To beat
new, a lot
new.
of new
Yeah.
and Zen and stuff like that. So very good target deck, and I'm expecting this deck to be a lot better for Worlds when you know what the meta is going to
Yeah.
be. But
Yeah.
similar to Kano, I think she is B now, but could be A for Worlds.
Perfect. Okay. Ooh, the new Earth Wizard Verdance. All right. Where is she going?
Okay, so on one side, I've like played her, I've played against her, I've seen her strengths and weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
She does have a very like either like Surging Aether Tide is a card
Mm.
to amp with life growth and like come in with a bunch of damage, but I
Yeah.
think, and she did have a top 8 in
Yeah.
sorry,
Actually,
how about to say Lille again? Lyon.
multiple, right? Leo won, and I think Milwaukee was 2 in the top 8. So
Two in the top 8. Yep.
she has the stats I think to back her up.
Yeah, there was one in the finals in Milwaukee. I think one got to semis and then they got the mirror, right? So it was
Right.
the second one was in the finals, and I think she's a good deck.
It's just struggles into a lot of the top decks up there. Struggles into Enigma. Seems to struggle into Aurora too.
Like this is a prime count your blessings target, right? Especially with all the life gain you're kind of rocking, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that like exemplifies the model people are going with Verdance. But I think Verdance is very kind of one dimensional at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't like her matchups in any of the brutes. I don't really like her matchup into aggro decks. I think she's good into the mid range, the slower mid range controller decks. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Um, I think asterisks, depending on like how they're going. But like the game I saw in like top 8, Azalea just kind of just ran all over Verdance kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
it's true.
it's
Azalea's not great either for her. So it's a lot of negative
yeah.
matchups for a lot of the top heroes on our list right now.
I think Verdance is one of those heroes where like obviously there'll be a pretty steep learning curve. She's very different. She works on mechanics we haven't really played with before,
Mm,
right? With
yeah.
life gain.
Right.
So
Right.
in that sense, for a pro quest, if you really like Verdance, that's fine. I don't know if I would be super interested in bringing her if there's a ton of aggro running around because you don't necessarily block that well if all you're trying to do is life gain. Um, but I think B tier is fine.
Yeah,
Like
she's tough to
that,
place right now because she's doing well in events, but I'm not really seeing the stats for her. Like, it's interesting.
yeah, and she's new. Obviously, she will get up there. Like you got Leon, only 15 people played her, 2 in day 2, and one of them top 8'd. So conversion rate actually wasn't very good, 13%, relatively speaking,
Right.
fairly low compared to even KO had a better conversion. Maybe have 47 people
Yeah.
playing. But my point is that at least it's better than Victor. But
Yeah.
that's a low bar to reach here.
It is.
But
It is. Yeah. Okay. So B tier is fine with me. I think she needs a little bit more, maybe play testing, or just figure her out a little more, or
yeah,
just maybe some more dimensionality right now.
yep.
All right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Victor right up there with B tier
In B
also.
tier.
Probably somewhere
Yeah.
in the middle probably.
Yeah, I mean he's the de facto guardian right now, and he is very tanky, right?
He's tanky.
Yeah,
The one thing he really has going for him is I think he's still very good. He still has very good disruption, armor suite, very good value. He has cast homes, obviously. It's visit a gold main estate, but nobody says that anymore. It's all cast homes, right? So he
yeah,
has pretty reasonable match. Like his matchup into new is really bad. Um,
yeah. But
his
he's
matchup
got the
into
Aurora matchup. He has the
Aurora
Azalea
matchup, yeah,
matchup. So a
yep,
couple of these
that's
top
correct.
hero decks that he can do very
Dio
well
probably
into.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably a good Dio matchup.
yeah.
Enigma is
Decent
not
Dio.
as bad as I would say. Like, I think people think the Enigma matchup's doomed. It's not nearly as doomed as you would think. You can actually
Yeah.
pack a lot of damage,
Okay.
and it's a little bit. It's not favored by any means. It's definitely unfavored, but not as much as people think. And so you're quite polarizing here. I think if you can narrow down your local meta to like aggro essentially, and dodged Nu and Kano and stuff
Yeah.
like that, I think you're in pretty good shape. I think your brute matchups depends on how they're playing. I think if KO's still running Cast Bones, Runner, all that kind of stuff, and size that
Yeah.
package in, it's still going to be like 50-50. You're not going to be favored necessarily. Levia is a little bit more interesting because it really depends on what kind of aggressive package she's running. So overall, he's polarizing, but I think he's pretty good if you can target your local scene.
Absolutely. And he has a kind of the cherry at the top. He has a 0% conversion rate, despite being a
I
pretty
don't know.
played deck at Leon.
I
Like
think
he
they just,
was top six
yeah,
of the number of heroes.
they must
Yeah.
have just not been able to get through Enigma, is my guess. Like
Yeah.
they might have just not had the right tools for it or not expected that many people to play her. Or I
Yeah.
don't know what happened there.
Yeah. Something happened, but he's overall not a bad deck according to the play stats. He has a lot of good matchups. All
Yeah,
right.
Viserai.
Viserai next. This is probably the highest we're ever going to put Viserai, or we've ever put him, I should say, in a tier list. He's
Hmm.
probably B or high
Yeah.
B.
Yeah, I think high B is pretty reasonable. I think the
Yeah.
thing with Viserai is obviously he won Battle Hard in Milwaukee. I think there were two Viserais in top eight. Very American, I guess. But all right, Brody brought it all the way to Lyon to show everybody. But I think he went like
Yeah.
9-3 or something, so he was doing pretty well with Viserai. Um, the key is Viserai has to be more resistant to the to the warmongers. You know,
To the
it's been his bane since that card existed. The fact that like your Moth Skies is essentially nullified, like you can't
Yeah.
mov anything, right? And that's a problem. And a lot of these newfangled Viserai decks are they're not running Moth Skies anymore. They're pretty. He did get a lot of nice upgrades. So come to 10 patience, quite nice to provide an on hit and an action point. It pretty much replaces Moth Skies in a lot of ways because if you're able to do some arcane damage, it's like it's a creepers on a stick. So you can get an action point from that. And it doesn't really it's a good way of not having to run Mob Unit Skies. It also blocks for 3, which is quite nice. He has Snuff Out, which is a nice attack, which that's the 1 for 5 that on hit can, if you've done damage, discard a card, make them discard a card. So you get a little bit of soft disruption, which is nice. That Viserai didn't really have before. And then running cards like Amplify the Arc Knight, Ninth Blade, Mordred, all the good stuff, all the throwbacks, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Purple Man is not looking that bad.
No.
I'm not gonna
Looking
lie.
the best
As
he's
far as
looked in a long time.
Yeah, far from the best Rune Blade at the moment. I think
Yeah, I
Aurora's
know, right?
probably just gonna outshine him at the moment.
He's always playing
Sad
second
face
fiddle.
Viserai.
Played second fiddle to
Always.
Briar to Vynnset now, now to
Yeah,
Aurora.
and he still has Runeblade hands. Like I've seen some dog hands from this hero, and
Yeah.
he doesn't have a great way of getting around it like Aurora does, because Aurora has like her hero abilities. Like, oh, if you have a lightning sigil and then pitch, you could still create an embodiment itself.
Right, right. She has some
Like that.
flexibility, I think, with her hands, whereas Viserai
Yeah,
doesn't.
correct. And I think it's a strong deck, and I think it's a fun deck.
Yep.
I think B is correct though.
Perfect. Okay, the fourth Runeblade that we have on this list, Vynnset.
Preach.
Oh man,
C tier.
C tier. Oh, goodbye, Vynnset. I mean, not goodbye.
Look,
Still an okay
look.
deck, but yeah.
I've played a lot of Vynnset in the past when she came out, tried to make this hero work, and
Yeah.
I thought there was a lot of good Runeblade. I mean, Deadwood Dirge, Piano Man, the Piano Man, creating 3 from 1, really good for Vynnset because that was the good way of getting your double Blood Debt off, right? Your double Rune Gate off, because a lot of the time you're just not able to create. You have to run Quill Hand, and you only got it once, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But this, and she got Eulogy, Succumb. She got a bunch of shit, and none of it actually addressed her issues.
Right, right.
Right?
Yeah, it's all
Her
fluff.
issues is she gets Runeblade hands. She has to discard a card at the beginning, so
Yeah.
you like if you have no blood deck cards or like
Exactly.
rune gate
No rune
cards, you
gates.
discard. It's real bad. You have to like
Yeah.
block with your hand or get really bad value. You're gonna be taking damage super early because of blood debt. You're gonna have you're not as insulated as Aurora and Viserai is for Warmonger. Warmonger shits on you.
Oh yeah.
Like you generally will be playing non-attack actions like Shadow Puppetry and Mauvrian Skies. Your armor suite's fine. Your damage output can be pretty good for a couple turns, and then you just don't have damage. Your end game is atrocious. Your end game is so bad.
Yeah.
she needs a Shadow non-attack Blood Debt Runegate card or something, like a one cost non-attack Runegate.
Yeah.
A good one. Funeral Moon. None of that shit.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Funeral Moon is okay, but like the Requiem of the Damned is just not very good.
Right.
And
Right.
she needs like a flip card. Like she needs like Vynnset Consumed, like Levia got. Yeah, Levia got that one
Yep.
card, and now she's A
Uh,
tier. Like, you got to flip
she
the
needed
thing.
help, to be fair, but so does Vincent now. So maybe it's time.
It's Vynnset. The Shadow Heroes always need extra help. Why does the
That's right.
Shadow Heroes always need extra help?
Until they get too broken with one good
Yeah.
card.
Yeah. Zen is D tier. Let's just end it.
Yeah. Oh, what a low point to end on. Well, a bit. It's poetic. Ending on Zen, who got the biggest
Look,
nerf.
if someone wins their PQ with Tiger Zen or whatever,
Yeah.
that's fantastic for you.
Right.
I don't care. This hero just doesn't really do anything at the moment. Like you just kind of run around and try to be as good as you were. Shadow Legacy in this one. I like Arakni is top of D tier.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's correct, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It might
It's
not
really,
be.
it's really
But
fun.
if you're looking at this list trying to pick a D tier hero, you don't really need the list, to be honest.
Yeah.
So play what you like if you're in a D tier. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with that, I think I'm actually pretty reasonable with all of this. I don't really think there's any justification for moving any of these heroes up or down, considering it's ProQuest.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
If you're kind of looking at decks to beat, if you want to play aggro, try Aurora. If you want to play slower, play Enigma. And then all the A tier decks are quite good if you already have some reps in some of these decks, or you don't have any reps but you want to play a new hero. Florian's quite good, very fun, very mid-range value oriented. And I think that's pretty much it. I can't think of any more kind of notes that I would have for the upcoming PQ season. What do you anything you want to kind of look at?
Nope. I think we've
Right?
basically covered it. Yeah. Yeah. This is a pretty good breakdown, I think, of what the heroes can do. Honestly, though, I think that a lot of these heroes have game. If you're looking at probably the entire B list, can still do well. It's just that this list will probably be more solidified looking at the world's meta. Like you said, this Pro Quest, you probably should just play your pet deck, because that's really what wins the most, in my opinion. Unless you like to test on everything and pick the most optimal deck, but I think really the important thing is to figure out where your pet deck fits in the scheme, and then kind of just tailor your deck a little bit more towards those decks that you think will have an edge on you. So you can still play most of these decks, but just tailor it to your ProQuest meta, and then you should be okay.
Yeah, do whatever you want. It's a ProQuest. Just have fun, honestly.
Absolutely.
And with that, if you like this kind of content, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And for everyone watching the world, have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Bye for now.